Okay, good. It's actually evening. Good afternoon, evening. It is Wednesday the 19th, and it has been a cluster of a day. And that's going to happen, and we're just going to roll with it. Did not get myself out of bed this morning. So I was like, oh, I'll film this on the way to work as I'm driving. That was a spectacularly bad idea, and my body let me know it. Thank you, higher self. More about that later. So I was listening to my last upload, and I realized that I tried to do a run through of this really quick because I'm not editing. The documentary I was referring to was Heal, and Peter Crone is one of the presenters in that, and he's a mind and performance coach, an Ayurvedic practitioner. Today is going to be about weight, so I'm going to give you my metrics: 5'2", 161. I think it started out at 45% body fat, so I think I'm down to about 37. I had a thought, because I don't know about you guys, but right now I'm like, oh geez, really, is that what I look like? But it dawned on me I should be proud of this, and so should you. This is a story. How you got here, what you're going through, how you're trying to take it off. Be proud, so you can look back and you can go, yep, there's where I started, here's where I'm ending. And you're changing it. Like, it dawned on me today, I am changing my story, or I'm trying. So be proud. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey, and I would love to hear about yours. So I struggled, probably a pretty average perspective, 20 to 40 pounds. Spent most of my life between 120 and 140. And then in 2009, I was diagnosed with lupus. And I remember being so relieved, not like, oh yeah, I have lupus, but yes, finally I know what's wrong with me. Ha ha ha, like many people who have had these long journeys with autoimmune disorders, and it's chronic in our society now. It was just the beginning. More on that later. So in 18 months, I went from 115, because I started a little bit lower. I'd been pretty sick. And I went up to 192. And I could, for probably 5 years, I don't know, it's like a blast zone. It's like you're in a crater, and boy, did I use food to try and numb what had happened to me. It felt so unfair. But I made the decision to get lap band, because I'm like, after things kind of settled down with that, I just couldn't get the weight off. I don't know if it was my age, if it was how I put it on, which was with really bad food, and yes, I knew it was really bad food, or because it was prednisone. I'm not sure. Regardless, I'm like, this will kill me. Maybe not everything that's happened, but if I don't get this off, it will kill me. So I did get down to about 125, 130, and then I put another 20 back on with COVID, and they just kept coming, and then another 20 when I moved here. So I got my Peloton, as we've talked about. Super excited about that. Don't love this screen and how you're locked into the content, but I'm doing this, so if this is just for me, this is the way around it. I did have my lap band removed in January of this last year. It was never comfortable. It hurt from the get-go. It became extremely painful. And when they took it out, the surgeon said he noticed evidence of a long-term chronic infection, and that does not surprise me. It's interesting, I read something recently that they have found the equivalent of a stem cell. So the cells that are in the marrow of your bones that can become anything, they found an equivalent in your gut. And there's a lot of mind or brain-gut connection, but there's a segment of the scientific population who thinks that we were guts first, and then our brain developed after our gut. So there's a very symbiotic relationship, and I would say I have to agree. And I remember when I was thinking about, I looked at gastric bypass. At no time did I hit weight criteria, which amazes me. At 5'2", 192, I don't hit weight criteria for insurance to pay for it. But I do remember one of the doctors saying to me, this is great. Like, why would you walk when you can fly? The analogy being, let's get to this a lot faster. Why indeed? Now I think I know the answer to that. Because when you walk and when you spend time, more than just your body acclimates, I think your mind acclimates as well. So now I'm here, 40 pounds heavier than I want to be. I have my Peloton. I also, which has only been like a month, 6 weeks. Last January, I'm like, okay, I need motivation. Like, it's one of the first times in my life when I just can't get this weight off. I mean, besides, when I put it on. So I joined BLE, Bright Line Eating, which, if you know nothing about nutrition and you're really looking for a kickstart, I think I can't say enough about their boot camp. I, probably like some other people, I've gone and read reviews about it now that I've done it, is the identity is a little concerning for me. Some people might really, that fits with their schema. For me, I think that you have to, when you're getting people to change, that inherently you have to place the responsibility within them. And Susan Pierce Thompson, and her books are excellent, by the way, talks a lot about staying close to the mothership, it becoming your identity. And for me, I'm like, this is not my identity, but I think it's a good kickstart, and for some people, I think it probably works really well. So then I looked at a program called SO, and it's really interesting too, because they go at it purely from the science, your microbiome, how important it is, how different you are, what bacteria in your gut probably could be potentially prohibiting you from losing weight. I think there's a lot to that. It's just not, I think they focus a bit more on the science. And there's a lot of science and data, and I think it's really good from that perspective. But as a standalone program, it wasn't a good fit for me. But I'm really glad I did it initially, because I learned some pretty interesting things. Now here I am at Noom. Can't say enough about this. This is cognitive therapy based, and personally, I think that's the only way you're going to get there long term. Not like you can't use these as stepping stones and as parts of the program, but I think what BLE, like they have, it's Bright Line Eating, and they have these lines that you cannot break. And I think that's all well and good. I wish that they would put alcohol in there as well, because I think it's as bad for you as sugar and fat. But it's really hard to do long term. You can look at Alcoholics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, and people break constantly. My personal opinion is you're not dealing with the underlying gunk, which you're just going to sublimate or you're just going to transfer. So Noom is cognitive therapy based. I think probably that's why you lose weight slower, which can be mighty frustrating, but I think it's sustainable, and the data on sustainable weight loss is horrible. I'm in oncology, and actually they say you have a better chance of recovering from cancer than you do keeping weight off. But I think that's all wrapped up in some variables. So what does weight loss have to do with consciousness? I think first and foremost, it's about being mindful. I think that's why I put some weight back on. I think that's why a lot of people put weight back on. There's just this drive to numb ourselves with food, shopping, alcohol, gambling, whatever. Pick your poison, right? And I think it's because we're not getting to the stuff underneath. A lot of times I whine and I'm like, but I'm doing this, but I'm eating non-GMO, but I don't drink sugar, but I don't. I think you have to ask yourself where your bar is. My bar is going to be completely different than someone else's bar. Are you being truthful? Do you know what your issues are? So for me, like I told you, one of my big motivators is facelift. Now I think it's going to be a trip to Galilee, but regardless, there's my big picture. I can definitely say mindfulness did not get me here. So I think that's a core issue. So I asked myself, I'm trying to develop this relationship with my higher self, and I will talk about this later. I doubt that anything that is truly mindful is not in my best interest and highest good. So I know my reasons. I want to be healthier. When I look at myself and I'm talking, I'm talking and walking, so I know this isn't good for my body. And when I check in with my higher self and that relationship that I'm developing with my higher self, I know I'm going in the right direction. Do I think it's going to be bumpy? Do I think it's going to be hard? Yes. But if I put in the hard work, I'm already envisioning the other side, and I already feel pride and respect, all the things that come with walking, not flying. So that wraps up today. I will see you back bright and early in the morning. I'm gonna try to get on this thing, get it knocked out, and then I have to go to the dentist. And as always, thank you for spending your time with me. I hope to see you tomorrow, and Tahana Bod.